June 25th, 2009. Los Angeles. The world froze. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was gone. The news spread faster than anything before it. Fans around the world collapsed in tears, and yet, beneath the grief, something darker began to stir. Some said it was an accident. Others whispered murder. Michael had said it himself once, years before he died. "They're going to kill me one day. They're after me." At first, it sounded like paranoia, but when the dust settled and the details of his death began to unfold, many realized maybe he was right. The official story was simple: a fatal overdose of propofol, administered by his doctor, Conrad Murray. A mistake, a tragedy, end of story. But the truth was never that clean, because in the months before his death, Michael was preparing for his biggest comeback ever. This is it. 50 shows sold out in minutes. The king was ready to reclaim his crown, but behind closed doors, he was scared. Friends said he talked about being followed, about powers that didn't want him to perform again, about people who wanted control, not over his career, but his legacy. Michael owned something no one else did: the Beatles' catalog, worth over $1 billion, and with it, immense power in the music industry. Sony wanted that catalog back. Executives had tried to buy it before. Michael always said no. He said it wasn't about the money. It was about control. In one interview, he said, "The record companies are the real criminals. They destroy people." Weeks before he died, he told his close friend, "They want my catalog. They want me gone." And then he was gone. Dr. Conrad Murray took the blame, convicted of involuntary manslaughter. But many believed he was just a pawn, someone to take the fall, while the real puppeteers stayed hidden. A few insiders pointed to strange inconsistencies. The 911 call was delayed. The room where he died was cleaned before police arrived. And even stranger, his medical records missing key pages. Some said the dose of propofol that killed him was too precise to be accidental. Others said it wasn't propofol at all, that he was poisoned to make it look like a medical error. Then there were the mysterious phone calls. Michael's last words to his bodyguard that night were, "They're going to kill me. Please make sure my children are safe." The bodyguard thought it was stress talking. He'd heard Michael say things like that before, but hours later, he was gone. In the days after his death, theories spread like wildfire. Some believed the Illuminati were involved, the secret elite who control global media and entertainment. Michael had spoken out against them in code during his concerts. He used symbolism: broken chains, shattered mirrors, eyes in pyramids on stage screens. He said he was breaking free. Others believed it was the corporations, the music giants who feared Michael's independence. He had planned to go public with shocking details about corruption in the industry. Emails from his final weeks hinted that he wanted to expose them all. And then there were those who thought he never died at all. That Michael, tired of fame and fear, staged his death to escape. People claimed to have seen him in Canada, in the Middle East, even walking in the background of his sister LaToya's interviews. Theories flooded the internet. Look at the ambulance footage. The body doesn't match. The handwriting on the death certificate isn't his. Every small detail fed the obsession. But what if all of them were right? In some way? Because maybe the truth wasn't that Michael was murdered, or that he faked his death. Maybe both things were true. Maybe someone helped him disappear. In the years before his death, Michael had surrounded himself with a small circle of loyal friends, people who said he was working on something secret, something bigger than music. One of them, who refused to give his name, later told a journalist he was planning something huge, something that would change everything. He said the world wasn't ready. Nobody ever found out what that project was. Some think it was a film, a documentary exposing powerful figures. Others think it was about mind control and manipulation in media. In one of his last rehearsals, he looked into the camera and said, "They're not ready for the truth." The next week, he was gone. When the autopsy report came out, something strange appeared. Michael's body weight, recorded at 136 pounds, far less than what witnesses said he weighed days before. His hair, shaved in parts, old scars reopened, and his fingerprints, according to one anonymous investigator, didn't match older records. Was it really him? Some said the coroner's photos looked off, that his nose looked different, that the ear shape didn't match. Experts dismissed it as conspiracy nonsense, but the believers had already taken hold of the story. By mid-2010, more people believed Michael had been silenced because he was about to expose the truth about the entertainment industry, a truth tied to control, manipulation, and secret deals. They pointed to his speech at the 2002 Sony protest, where he shouted, "Tommy Mottola is the devil." That wasn't just anger, that was a message. He said the system was evil, that it used artists, drained them, and threw them away when they no longer obeyed. Those words, years later, would sound more like a prophecy. And that's where the story begins to twist even deeper, because if Michael was right, if there really were forces trying to control him, then his death might have been the final act in a plan long in motion. But who were they, and what did they really want? That's what we'll uncover next. The deeper you look, the darker it gets. After Michael's death, the world demanded answers, but what they got was confusion. Police reports changed, witness statements disappeared, and Sony, the very company Michael accused of corruption, suddenly took control of his entire music catalog. It was as if everything he warned about had just come true. 2 weeks after his death, Sony announced the largest record deal in history, a posthumous contract worth $250 million, all built on Michael's unreleased songs, footage, and likeness. The king of pop was making more money dead than alive, exactly what he feared. Friends said he'd been struggling financially in his final years, but insiders later revealed that he wasn't broke. His assets were massive. The only problem? He refused to give up ownership of his work, and that's when people started noticing patterns. Other artists who had spoken against the industry, Prince, Tupac, Whitney Houston, all died under mysterious circumstances. Coincidence or a message? In 2011, leaked emails between Sony executives surfaced. They showed discussions about expanding control over Jackson's unreleased material, even before his death. One line read, "Once this transition is complete, everything falls back into place." Transition, a strange word to use for a man who had just died. Then came the rumors of a hidden vault, hundreds of unreleased tracks, some encrypted, some erased, songs Michael allegedly destroyed himself, claiming, "They'll use my voice even when I'm gone." LaToya Jackson, his sister, said something chilling in an interview. Michael always said he would be killed for his music, and when asked who they were, she paused and whispered, "You already know." But not everyone agreed. Some people close to Michael, his bodyguards, dancers, friends, believed he was under extreme stress and paranoia, pushed to exhaustion by the tour and his team. That Dr. Murray was careless, not evil. Yet even they admitted the timeline of events that night didn't make sense. At 12 a.m., Michael was awake, anxious, pacing. He told Murray he couldn't sleep. By 1 a.m., he'd been given multiple sedatives. At 2, Seuss, still awake. At 2:30, propofol. By 3, silence. But what happened between 3 and 11 a.m., when the 911 call was finally made, remains one of the biggest mysteries in modern celebrity history. 8 hours, unaccounted for, When investigators asked Murray, his answers were inconsistent. Phone records showed calls, texts, some to unknown numbers in the early morning, and just minutes before he claimed to find Michael unresponsive, he was on the phone, laughing. When police examined the scene, they found the propofol bottles missing, then suddenly discovered in a hidden bag days later. Fingerprints were smudged, security footage from the mansion's cameras gone, and the most suspicious part? Michael's bedroom door had been locked from the outside. Then came the autopsy photo leak, or what people thought was a leak. An image surfaced online, showing a man who looked like Michael, lying on a stretcher, eyes closed, skin unusually pale. But photo analysts pointed out subtle inconsistencies: the birthmark placement, the jawline, the medical bracelet that didn't match hospital records. Was it even him? In 2013, a new theory emerged from one of his former producers, Quincy Jones. He claimed Michael had uncovered something dangerous in the world of corporate entertainment. He said Michael was about to name names. The theory grew darker when a whistleblower from inside AEG Live, the company behind the This Is It concerts, came forward. They claimed there had been life insurance policies on Michael, worth hundreds of millions, and AEG would still be paid, whether he performed or not. In fact, the insurance only covered death, not cancellation, meaning if Michael died before the shows began, they'd profit more. And then there was the London rehearsal footage. In the official This Is It documentary, Michael looks vibrant, energetic, alive, but raw, unreleased footage later leaked online, showing him frail, disoriented, forgetting lyrics, and occasionally mumbling about the pressure and the watchers. In one clip, he pauses mid-song, turns to the crew, and says, "They want me to go faster, but I won't. I'm not their puppet anymore." The crew laughs. He doesn't. In the months following, conspiracy theorists began connecting dots, from the ownership of his music to the strange timing of corporate contracts, and even the behavior of his family afterward. His father, Joe Jackson, appeared calm during interviews, almost detached. LaToya kept repeating that justice will come. Paris, his daughter, said on social media it wasn't an accident, then deleted it. By 2015, more footage leaked. Michael, in a 2005 interview, saying, "I'm tired of lies. One day, the truth will be known." At the time, no one thought much of it, but listening now, it feels like a warning. Some researchers claim Michael kept diaries, handwritten notes predicting his own death. Lines like, "They're watching me. I can't trust anyone. They want control of my voice." Those diaries were never released. They disappeared during the police investigation. But perhaps the most haunting clue came from his own music. In his song, Morphine, he sang about being sedated, trapped, about doctors giving him what he needs. In They Don't Care About Us, he accused powerful figures of silencing the weak. And in Money, he warned, "If you show them what you're worth, they'll take you down." Were these lyrics entertainment, or confessions hidden in plain sight? By this point, the conspiracy had grown beyond control. It wasn't just about Michael's death. It was about power, and who controls the voices that shape the world. And as more people looked into it, more strange coincidences appeared. The nurse who treated Michael weeks before his death disappeared. One of his bodyguards died in a car crash months later. The coroner who handled the case suddenly retired without explanation. Each event, on its own, could mean nothing, but together, they painted a terrifying picture. Maybe Michael wasn't just paranoid. Maybe he was being hunted, because if he truly knew something worth killing for, then those who silenced him still walk free. And maybe they're watching still. In the years after his death, people stopped asking if there was a cover-up and started asking how deep it went. Because every time someone tried to expose something new, they vanished from the public eye. Journalists, insiders, even fans who claimed to have proof, all silenced, quietly, completely. In 2017, a private investigator named Mark Webb claimed he had obtained hospital footage from June 25, 2009, footage that allegedly showed Michael arriving alive. He said it proved that the man pronounced dead wasn't him, but before he could release it, his home was raided, computers destroyed, files gone. He never resurfaced. Some say he left the country. Others say he didn't make it out. Then came the sightings in Argentina, in Eastern Europe, in the Middle East, grainy videos, a man wearing sunglasses, a surgical mask, walking with two bodyguards who looked eerily familiar. People laughed, said it was impossible, but facial recognition experts compared the footage, and some results came back with a 93% match. Was Michael really gone, or had he finally escaped the system he hated most? In one interview, years before his death, he said something chilling. "If I ever disappear, don't believe it right away." At the time, it sounded like a joke, but looking back now, it feels more like a confession. In 2020, a hacker group leaked internal documents from a major entertainment law firm. Among them, one titled Project MJ Legacy. Inside were plans to use AI-generated vocals, digital avatars, and synthetic performances to continue the brand indefinitely. The file was dated 2008, a year before Michael's death. Was his death part of a larger transition? From artist to digital product? It sounds insane until you realize that's exactly what's happening today. AI-generated songs, deepfake concerts, digital resurrections. Michael once said in an interview, "Technology will be used to erase the truth." Maybe he saw it coming. In the final years of his life, those closest to him said he spoke constantly about freedom. Not fame, not fortune, freedom. He wanted control over his image, his voice, his message. But after his death, that control was gone. Others decided what he said, what he looked like, what he meant. And that was the final irony. The man who changed the world with his voice was silenced by it. Some fans believe Michael planned it all, that he faked his death to expose the system from the shadows, that he's watching, waiting, and laughing at the machine that tried to own him. Others say that's just denial, a way to cope with losing a legend. But whichever side you believe, one thing remains true. Michael Jackson wanted the world to wake up, to question what's real, to question who controls the truth. And maybe, in the end, that's exactly what he achieved. Because every time we ask, did Michael Jackson really die? We keep his message alive. We keep searching. We keep doubting. We keep listening. And maybe that's what he wanted all along. They tried to silence me, but my music will speak forever. Michael Jackson.